What's up, guys? I'm finna read this verse. Daniel chapter 11, verse 35. Some of the wise will stumble, so that they may be refined, purified, and made spotless until the time of the end, for it will still come at the appointed time. Okay, guys. I was listening to a sister on Facebook Live, a prophetess. And she was explaining, she was giving a testimony how God took her from being homeless, and how when God put her back, in the place that she was, house, car, and stuff like that, she began to lose it all. I almost lost it all, and she was like, she tried to file out for food stamps, or she was fin to, and then that's when she had this talk with God, and she was like, no, she's not going backwards. It's nowhere in the world God want her to go backwards, and she's not going backwards, nowhere in the world. And then and then God took me back. Something in my mind took me back, to the very beginning of what God showed me. And I finna explain this. I finna I finna take David. Okay, David, God called David and told Samuel to anoint him to be king. But he originally found David in the fields. So he took David and got David, to hook up with Saul, King Saul. And then, so he began to become acquainted with, King Saul and his sons, and live in, royalty. At first he was in the fields, just a little shepherd boy in the fields. And then all of a sudden, thrust him from, being acquainted with these kings to go backwards, being into a cave. You're like, hold up. I know that you said that I'm supposed to be a king, and a king most likely got to live in a palace. So why am I living in the cave? No, God. Just imagine King David saying, no, God, I can't do that. I can't go backwards. But he had to go backwards. Remember the verse. Okay? Some of the wise will stumble, so that they may be refined, purified, and made spotless until the time of the ends. He had to go backwards. See, he was accustomed to living, with royalty. So he had to get broke down again, just broke down. Because he had to humble himself, because God didn't need King David to be like King Saul, or have anything, that King Saul had into him. So he had to get broke down. Okay. You got Joseph. Being despised by his brothers. His brothers throw him in the pit. They grab him out the pit and sell him as a slave. He worked his way. God, God did that. God, worked his way up to be with the Pharaoh. To be with the Pharaoh. Living in the palace. And then all of a sudden get thrown in jail. So I know he think, I'm going backwards. I'm supposed to be going forward. But God used all that. He humbled himself and used all that. See, sometimes when we think, we can't go forward, we can't go backwards, and sometimes our backwards not really backwards, because our backwards really forward. So when we say, no, we can't go through this, that means we saying we just can't do it. And so that's when God give you a minimum of what he finna give you, but because he finna give you everything. And that's what we have to get all the way and humble ourselves in meekness, and God showed me something from the beginning. That's why I had to go all the way back to the beginning. God showed me how Satan was going to try to steal God's people with materialistic things, cars, houses, clothes, and stuff like that, and jobs. So this is the thing right here, guys. What really got me? A lot of people, I don't complain. Me and God, we have our talks, but you got a guy that don't have anything, and I don't have anything, don't have a car, don't have, a place, don't have my place, been, 3, 4, 5 months ago, I was sleeping in the parks, you know what I'm saying, and getting kicked out of places, and family members denied me, and they deny me, they refuse me, they won't show any sympathy, they'll kick me out and like, you homeless, you bum, go live out in the streets, and that knowing how people characteristics is in these last days and how people are, that make me want to have a extra amount of compassion for what God called me to what God called me for, to have an extra amount of compassion, to have an understanding what people go through, so she said, I can't do this. I'm just going to look down at the food stamps. I'm going to look down. And it's like when you're looking down at something, you're looking down at God's people. That's what God told me, showed me. Don't never look down on anything. I always have the attitude I always carry the attitude of gratefulness. Be grateful for everything that we have. If you get food stamps, I get food stamps. If it weren't for food stamps, I probably won't even be eating. And that's how real it is. So I have to depend on God for everything because I constantly get denied from everything. So if any door open for me, I know that God has something to do with it, because if listen, guys, this is something serious. And this is something I don't talk about. I constantly hear no. That, look, I can have an application and it requires on the application, and I have everything that the requirements have, and I can still get denied because Satan has something to do with that business. And by the grace of God, I'm standing here with food stamps and not hungry, and not hungry. So that allowed me to have a extra amount of humility. See, that's what God wants us to have. And a lot of us, a lot of God's people looking for a spouse, looking for a wife, looking for a husband. How can God give you that husband, that wife, if we don't have a certain amount of humility and integrity and understanding? That's the only way God gonna give us a spouse. Now we can go outside of God and we can get our own spouse. That don't have nothing to do with God. But if we want a spouse from God, we have to humble ourselves all the way down. It's no looking down at nothing. Nothing. It's not, I can't do it. I can't do it. When I say I can't do it, God say, I'm make you, you gonna go through this. I know what you can't do. Come on. I need you to do this. You're going to do this. I need you to do this. I built you to do this. I know what you can't do. Come on now. Do this. I need you to do this, son. So I just really want to share that with you guys. I love you guys.